Right, it's Derby Day, yes. North London's alive, no rest. Local heroes in red and white. This means more than bragging rights. Every tackle, chant, goals, personal. Underneath the city lights, on these cobbles, the smell of victory. Don't trust next door, we have history. Angel to Seven Sisters, your territory to claim. Bikayo, yeah, don't trust that smile. Mickey, defender in the lane. N5, N17, North London split in two. A fight for pride, victory for harmony. To dare is to do. But on Derby Day, when that clock strikes, our loyalties go beyond the 90. North London collides again. Lovely jubbly.
It's fierce, it's emotional. The fans stand for the entire 90 minutes. They sing, they are loud. The atmosphere is unlike anything. Tell us from a player's point of view, though, what it's like playing in this game.
Cool. It's a different sort of feeling. Throughout the week, it's a massive game. Not just for the players, for the club, the fans, and everyone involved. You're reminded when you go out in the streets. It's the North London derby. We've got to win. That sort of importance. But saying that, I think for players, and even though it sounds boring, you always try and play the game, not the occasion, if that makes sense, because you don't want to get caught up in it too much. You don't want your performance to change in any way. You want to try and sort of prepare like it's a normal game or any other game. But there's just a different feel. We saw some of the footage there, some of the tackles and the importance and even the change before, even in the warm-up, for the captain and the senior players to remind, can you win the first tackle? They have to feel us for anything else. You have to be hard to play against. It's different.
You've played in some sides with Freddie Canute, Michael Carrick, Gareth Bale, some real match winners, Luka Modric in the side. Do you look at this Tottenham side and see potential match winners out beyond the striker going into this game?
I think there's match winners. But I think these players have to produce now. Xavi Simons, he's come in with a big reputation, even though he's still young. But over the years, he's been talked about a lot. I feel like he can do a lot more. You talk about numbers now. When you're a forward player, whether that's a number 10, number 9, wingers, you're forward players. You're judged on goals and assists. It's as simple as that. That's why you're in the team. Kulusevski, for me, that's a big miss. He's the one, really. Maddison, another injury. Kudos, massive signing. Is someone who I believe can still go to the next level in terms of goals and assists.
Forgive me, but if you were going to play Kudus as a striker, where do you want him supplying behind you that he can find the pass that puts you in?
I think he's that good he can play anywhere across. I think he can play as
where do you want him as a striker?
I think for me, he'll play wide, he'll play on the right, where he can come inside. But Dow, I understand what you're saying. If he's more central, then he could feed you. But I still believe that football's about relationships. So even if you get a left footer that plays on the right, when he comes inside, because he can go on the outside, he can come on the inside. When he comes inside as a number 9, that's my trigger to move. So just that connection, you have to know when to move. You can't just move for the sake of moving. You have to understand when to move, and it's about relationship, like I said. But when he comes inside, that's where you've got to move and make these little darting runs. He doesn't necessarily have to be at the centre of the pitch as the number 10 and playing balls through. You can do that from the sides. But yeah, for me, he's been one of the better signings out of all the clubs this season.
Just also the first North London derby from a Spurs point of view without Kane or Son in the team. First time since 2014, and they've, between them, scored 27% of Spurs' goals in the last little while. If there are to be goals, and we saw a sensational goal from yourself, where are they going to come from? Who takes that responsibility?
Well, you like to think it'll come from anywhere, to be honest. A big part of the game, not just now, but forever, has been set pieces. You look at this Arsenal team. I played against Arsenal teams where they play the best football in the league. You talk about Pep Guardiola's teams, like how they play now. Arsenal was doing that years ago. With the Perez, Thierry Henry, Ashley Cole on the left-hand side, how they used to overload on the left-hand side and create these triangles, and it was so difficult to stop. But now it's almost like they're a set-piece team, long throws. Every dead ball, they take their time, the set-up's right, and they win games like that. And for me, Tottenham, I think there's been a big focus when Thomas Frank's come in. There's been a big focus on, keeping clean sheets. I think under Ange, going forward, Tottenham would always create chances. One of the better teams to watch in the Premier League. I think since there's new managers coming, Thomas Frank and Justin Cochrane, I think there's been a massive focus on keeping clean sheets first. First and foremost, we keep clean sheets, and hopefully at the top end of the pitch, these players can go and make the difference.
What do you prefer? Do you prefer all action, Ange, or do you prefer safety first, Frank?
I think you need a bit of both. I think it depends on the environment. I think it depends who you're playing against.
For this game, then,
I think for this game,
if you're the striker at the spearhead of this team, what do you want for this game?
I think for this game, form goes out the window. I think it doesn't matter how teams have performed before. I think this is a one-off game, and Tottenham have to start this game on the front foot. You can't allow Arsenal to get into their rhythm and have long periods without the ball, especially away from home, because it'll be difficult. I think Tottenham have to start fast.
Yeah, they do have that great record away from home, though, Darren.
Yeah.
Still the only team unbeaten in the Premier League. It's interesting that the home form can't quite match that. So they'll probably be happy the first North London derby is away from home then.
Yeah, I think they'll be delighted. I think a big part of the reason why is that Frank is used to being at a Brentford team, with a Brentford team that sets up to contain superior opposition. So he's very adept at being able to do that. And I think as far as Spurs are concerned, there is a lot of pressure at home in front of their own fans. I think it will come eventually, but at the moment, they're a side that's set up to contain and hit teams on the break. And I think that's what will happen. There's a lot of pressure on Arsenal in front of their own fans, particularly after the last game where they were held by Sunderland. No one expected that to be the case. So I think this is going to be a fascinating one, but I do share your concern about the lack of potential match winners in the side. If you look at these numbers here, they tell the full story of this season, because at home they are one of the worst teams in the Premier League, but away from home they are the very best. And I think 13 points out of 15 gives them a lot of confidence going into this match.
It's interesting how that happens.
Yeah. It is strange because people probably think, your home form is where, as players, you probably feel more comfortable playing in front of your home fans, and this is our home, and you're confident because these are your home fans, and away from home is normally difficult. And on the other hand, maybe it's that sort of like a little bit of freedom away from home, not playing in front of your home fans, having that sort of pressure on you. But it's interesting what you said there about at Brentford. His teams were always set up to, like I said before, first and foremost, just be solid and not concede. And then, on a counter-attack, can we show that quality on a counter-attack and go and score goals? And I think because of Tottenham last season, it was the complete opposite, where, they took the ball and dominated possession, because that was Ange's principle. So, dominate possession, create a lot of chances, but conceded too many. And I think the manager's come and thought, right, we just need to be solid. We have to be solid in that. We've got good players in the team. And then it just seems that at home, it just seems like they're playing off the cuff a little bit. There's no patterns. We need a little bit more structure. We saw that last season, but, conceded too many. So I think once they get the balance right, then they'll be okay.
I love the point you make about set pieces, because there has been this big debate about set pieces, long throws and that kind of thing. I have zero problem with it. I think, particularly for some of the weaker teams in the Premier League, and that, I'm not ascribing that to Tottenham. Tottenham have a lot of quality, they've spent a lot of money. But if you look at the Premier League as a whole, there are lots of teams that do have that financial power, that do have that superior technical ability, and there are teams that don't have that. So what they have to do is disrupt. They have to find ways to be able to pierce strong defences, launch balls into the box and test the discipline, the organisation of those superior teams. And that might well be a way that Spurs can get something out of what is a technically and tactically and defensively superior Arsenal team.
I want to go back to Arsenal and a point you made earlier on about Sunderland and the blueprint that they provide. I know you said many people, I actually think did you make a prediction?
Yeah, I did.
It would go Arsenal's way. You're right. No, you're right. Most people did expect it, but Sunderland at home is a very different story. And they have been impressive at home. Would you then say that this was a case of 2 points dropped?
Definitely 2 points dropped. No Arsenal fan or neutral would have looked at this fixture and seen anything other than an Arsenal victory. And,
confident.
No, absolutely. And the quality of their finishes, I mean, you speak better to them than me.
Yeah, but I just feel like Sunderland now, you've got a Sunderland team that's just confident, fearless. Beating Chelsea, I think they took a lot out of that game. Young players that have got a point to prove, first time in the Premier League, just want to enjoying their football. A manager that his demeanour is just so calm.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, but of course, you expect Arsenal to win, of course.
You do, I do. What I think helped Sunderland in that match, I don't like necessarily talking about physicality because it's a very one-dimensional way of talking about footballers. But it was the fact that they used that physicality in a very intelligent way to disrupt, particularly with that final equalising goal. They were very smart about the way that they put balls into the box and challenged an Arsenal team to defend against them. And they managed to capitalise on that misunderstanding between the centre-half and the goalkeeper and grab that goal. And that's the reason why I think this could be a similar kind of game. Balls into the box. Let's see what Arsenal, if they do have that organisation without Gabriel. I know I mentioned them, that he's not that much of a problem. Hincapié will, I think, come in. He will do well. But I do expect it to be a game of inches, if you like. And I do think that we'll see free kicks, corners. They limited corners for Arsenal, Sunderland in that game. I think they only had 2 corners in that match. That was another element that they used. Lebris really did his homework. Really did his homework. And that's why he's caught the eye of a number of clubs higher up.
Even the boards on the side of the pitch. You brought the boards in. And if you noticed,
the advertising hoardings.
The advertising board is
so they couldn't launch long balls into the box.
Right, just that small detail, that makes a big difference. And
Frank is a man of details. This is the point. Frank is a guy who will look at Arsenal, they'll see the areas. He knows the quality. This is great. Thanks, guys, because I think this shows you just how much, and you might think it's nothing, but if you look at the right-hand side picture, the lack of run-up that
off the pitch.
Arsenal's players would have had compared to the one on the left, it makes all the difference in being able to launch that ball deep into the opposition box to try and be able to be on the back post. They know that. What do Arsenal do? They flick it on at the near post, maybe grab it at the far post, or Gabriel can bully his way past defenders and get into the box. Sunderland did well, and I think it's really interesting, something that Pep Guardiola said in his press conference Friday lunchtime. He said the season starts here, and City got Arsenal within range. Which Arsenal will turn up?
Yeah, because I think it's the first time they're really needing, except for the Liverpool game, which, is a game with the reigning champions, and you expect that there would be a little bit of trouble. You're ready for it to go either way. The Sunderland game, as you said, was a little bit different, and as you mentioned, Jermaine, they were confident going there. Now they have to recover because it's the first time that they've conceded twice in the season. It's the first time since, September, that they'd conceded a goal, which they'd celebrated and were lauded for that run of clean sheets at an end. Now we're wondering how they're going to respond, and we're kind of waiting, and it's the first time this season that they're needing to do that.
But I don't think they'll panic. I think because what they've showed is they're a team that, don't concede a lot. When you've got defenders celebrating blocks, that's a good sign. So I don't think they'll panic.
But on the flip side, if you're in the Spurs dressing room, right, before this game, are you saying to everyone, we saw that Sunderland could do it, we can do this, guys?
Of course, yeah. I think, but even before the Sunderland game, I still. But even when you play against teams that that keeps clean sheets, but you still have to go there and believe that you're going to score.
Is that what you do?
I think so, but I just think this game's different. Like I said before, even though Tottenham, they've been good on the road, and they've not created too many chances, but this game could be completely different, because in a game like this, you should get the best version of every player.
So where the goal's going to come from for Arsenal then? Who are going to be the match winners? Because, Victor Gyökeres, with his injury issue, could be missing. Mikel Merino could be asked to play up top once again. Who do you think will be scoring the goals?
I think Saka's the one.
Yeah.
Isn't he? I think Saka's the one. If it was me, we'd be saying, if we can keep this guy quiet, then we've got a chance. Because he's a match winner. Of course, they've got other players, of course, but for me, I think he's the one really that can he can create, he can score, he can do everything. So for me, he's definitely the one.
Yeah, that's the injury list for Arsenal. I think Ricardo Calafiori on international duty, the same for Gabriel. Gabriel Jesus, I think, is back in training, but probably too soon for him.
I see, interesting that you look at this list, and there is some serious quality in this list, and yet the side and the squad that will come out for this game is still very, very strong. It's a real vindication of the transfer policy of Andrea Berta and obviously the work that Arteta's done in the transfer window. They're not worrying about this list too much, even though there is some serious quality in this list. And I agree with Jermaine. I think it will be Saka. You know what he's going to do, but how hard it is to stop him. I think on the other side, Eze will relish the opportunity to start games and really test the fullback with his creativity. Porro won't be able to get forward anywhere near as much as he likes to because Eze will pin him in. And then in the midfield, you know, who is it who's going to step up? Marino likely, I think, to start. So they'll make sure they've got somebody on him. So it might well be a chess game where lots of different players cancel each other out, or will test the other. How much can you concentrate? Will there be that lapse?
I think it's a massive game for Eze.
I was going to ask you, you know, as a lifelong Arsenal fan, as a player who'd, you know, been there in his youth.
Listen, it's a massive game for him because, you know, I mean, that's why he signed for Arsenal. So playing huge games like this, he's going to want to make an impression. And like he said, he was close. The Tottenham thing, he was close. But obviously, he's an Arsenal fan.
Do you know him?
Yeah, good guy.
Yeah,
good guy.
Well, what
amazing.
How will he approach it?
His journey is amazing, and I think it's important for young players that have gone through similar situations in terms of being released and not giving up. Just always believed that he was good enough. I think he got released 4 times from 4 different clubs, and to still go on and to do what he's done. You know, it's just an amazing story.
So he won't feel pressure going into. Is that what you're saying?
I think it's normal. He'll feel pressure because he knows that people are looking at him thinking, right, now, can you do it? This is why you've come. He said, no disrespect to Crystal Palace. He's at Arsenal now. It's a North London derby. It's a huge game.
Can you text him now and ask him if he's nervous?
Okay, let's video call him. Let's FaceTime him. Let's do it. Come on.
You know what the boys are like? They'll be like, no. Because if someone says to me, are you nervous? I'll be like, nah, I'm not nervous.
Just FaceTime him anyway. I've just thought about the reception you're probably going to get.